Is now with analysis of today's developments on the war in Ukraine is Mietek Boduszynski, Associate Professor of International Relations at Pomona College.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Boduszynski.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, do you think this first 24 hours really told the world what Vladimir Putin's plans are with this invasion?
I mean, I think it told the world that Putin is determined to take Ukraine, and of course there were people who doubted that. To the credit of our own government and the Biden administration, I think they've been saying it repeatedly. But I was among those who thought that maybe this goes against rationality. Why would Putin do this? But we've seen, and I think history has taught us that leaders like Putin don't always act at least what appears to us from the outside to be in a rational way.
Professor, knowing that there could be more sanctions to come, your reaction to President Biden's sanctions initially from the U.S. and NATO nations?
Yes, first of all, I thought that President Biden's remarks this morning were really strong. He was resolute. He referred to the importance of U.S. alliances, which he's done now for a long time, and the importance of those alliances, showing solidarity. And also displaying U.S. leadership in the best way possible. I think the sanctions he announced are tough, but that doesn't mean that Putin will react right away to those sanctions. I mean, we've had sanctions against Russia for a number of years now, since 2014, and he decided to go ahead with this anyway. So I think to see these sanctions take effect will require some time. And then maybe we'll see something happen. Maybe we'll see some of the people around Putin start to peel off, or ordinary Russians revolt in some meaningful way. The sanctions are tough, and I think they depend on cooperation with our allies, not only allies in Europe but also in Asia, especially some of the technology-related export control sanctions announced. But I think it's a very strong package.
Well, you've just expounded on this next question. Time will tell, of course, if the sanctions alone can convince Vladimir Putin to pull back from all-out war with Ukraine. And we know that he has more, when I say he, President Biden has more in store in terms of sanctions. But if not the sanctions, what are other options?
Well, President Biden has said, and I think this reflects American public opinion, that direct U.S. military involvement inside Ukraine, fighting the Russian military is not an option, and there's lots of reasons for that. It could lead to a catastrophic war, as I think President Biden has also indicated. So there are ways to ramp up the sanctions further on Russia in general. One of those would be to try to curtail Russian energy exports to Europe, which is a difficult move for Europeans, especially because they depend on that energy on all kinds of things. I mean, most immediately to heat their homes in the winter, and then of course sanctions directed against Putin himself, which I guess is the so-called third tranche. But there are drawbacks to both of those escalatory measures.
Well, Professor, we could talk about this a lot longer. I wish we could, but unfortunately we're out of time. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. We all appreciate your time.